Hey guys, welcome back to Redemption Podcast. And listen, I am super excited. It's a new year, 2026. We're about to do some amazing things together. And I'm excited about what this podcast is doing. So far, I just want to thank all of you guys for subscribing, all the comments, all the love that you guys have been showing. I really appreciate that. It goes a long way. You know, when you're starting out a channel, and I would tell you this, it took me a year to start. And that's not something I'm proud of, but I'm actually proud that I started. It was something I really just needed to make sure that I had my house in order before I even did this. And so that being said, I appreciate the responses and the feedback that I get, and I'm going to keep rocking with you guys. You guys keep rocking with me. So I appreciate that. But today's episode today is about fitness is a mirror, or fitness is the mirror. And, I really thought long and hard about this idea about a mirror. And the reason why I did this is because, personally, I've actually experienced a lot of this myself. And today, when I talk to you guys, I'm really going to break down about like five different sections of where we talk about different ways where I refer back to a mirror. Today, as we go through this, one of the things I just want to say is that I might get a little bit, I might hit you in the gut a little bit, but it's really intended to have their best intentions in heart. And so, what I will tell you is, I hope that this episode gives you the mindset to think about what this is, and not just in fitness. It's going to show up in a lot of other ways. So, when we talk about this, and I was thinking about the idea of a mirror, it's not the kind of mirror that you take a glance um, at, at in passing. It's not the kind you avoid when you're in a rush, but it's the kind that makes you stop for a second. And I can tell you right now, pretty much every day I get up in the morning, I don't weigh myself. I actually get up in the morning, and one of the first things I do is, give praises to God. But the other thing I do is just there's like a checkpoint, and I can tell you right now, in those days where I might be in a rush, anytime I look in the mirror, I stop for a second. And I can tell you back in the day, there was times where I looked in the mirror and I wasn't too happy about it, and it was something that bothered me, and I could tell you that there was times where I would avoid it, because a mirror doesn't tell you who you should be, and that's the thing that's important. It doesn't judge you, and it doesn't yell at you, but it shows you what's there. And for me, I've had different seasons of this where I've looked in the mirror and I saw things that were there that I wasn't happy about, and there's things I've shown that I was happy about. I've even had times where I feel like I've made progress and, stumble back a little bit. But what I will say is that it tells you what's there. And the thing is that about that is, I think that's why so many men struggle with fitness. I think a lot of men struggle with fitness because, not because it's hard, but because it's honest. And even in this time where I really think about it, you know, even me being someone who's been in fitness and been an athlete my whole life, I consider myself pretty elite when it comes to, things I accomplished in the past. And I think that that also gave me the impression that most people expected me to always be in shape. So if I wasn't on point, and especially when I looked in the mirror, it created some type of level of insecurity. It made me think about like, do I really want to take my shirt off? Right. It made me think about like, oh, I got to work out harder. Some of the things a lot of men actually think, like, I'm going to go 2 days, or I'm going to start doing more cardio, or I'm going to restrict food, whatever it is. I was doing that. And it was more of me responding to what I saw than anything else telling me. It was me actually thinking about the fact that, like, it's almost like the judgment I was putting on myself, and I knew I had to do some work, but it was also telling me like there's something you're not doing. And I think that's where the honest truth is. Like what I think is, because I said in that, because I didn't rush past that, it helped me realize what I really need to do, and I owned it. And I think that's probably the most powerful thing. So we start talking about this. The thing I want to talk about, the mirror we don't talk about, is what I want to talk about. This is our first section. And I want to say fitness does not expose your body first. It exposes your patterns. And you hear most coaches or people talk about fitness, it's about building habits, and it's true. But it doesn't, it like you hear it so often that I think the fact that you think about building habits kind of gets redundant, and it kind of goes in one ear and out of the other. You'll think, oh, if I just do this diet, for a short period of time or whatever, I can lose a lot of weight really quickly. But then again, if you take a step back. Let's say you do that for 30 days. Let's say you do it for 60 days. The pattern isn't that 60 days, although that's great. The pattern is what was before and what are you going to continue doing? That's the pattern, because the pattern could be I do things for every 60 days and stop and start and stop over again. You're really looking at that pattern. And as a coach, what I really find out is asking the right questions, getting to have the conversation allows us to really expose those patterns. And so what it does is how we show up. It exposes the patterns, like how we show up, how we respond to things that feel heavy, how do we deal with discomfort, and how do we handle consistency. Yeah, the mirror doesn't ask the questions, it answers them. If you want to know where you're at, you want to know what's going on in your life, you want to see what's happening, what's not happening, look in the mirror and it'll tell you the truth. It'll tell you, are you patient? It'll ask, are you disciplined? Or do you keep your word to yourself? And I just want to pause for a second here because when I think about, you know, the workouts and I think about showing up late to the gym or skipping warm-ups or even rushing through some sets, right? Like, oh, you're going to do 4 sets. Excuse me. You're going to do 4 sets, but you end up doing 3 or 2, right? You're looking at the time because you were late. Like these things are things you got to really consider, especially when you look in the mirror and wonder what's happening, right? There's times where I program and, like you start negotiating, like, oh, I'm kind of tired. Maybe I'll just do 3 sets today. Right. And as soon as that pops into my head, I'm like, there is no negotiating. Like this program is written to do the program, because at the end of the day, like if I do that, if I negotiate and allow myself to not do it, then what am I setting myself up? What pattern am I creating? What habit am I creating? Right? Remember that. Remember, habits can be created good for you, and habits can be created against you, things that are going to hold you back. And so I really think, what happens is that when you actually repeat these things over and over and over again, that's what the result is. That's what you're looking at in the mirror, is the fact that, are you doing the things consistently? Like working out hard is great, but are you doing it in a pattern? Are you doing it consistently, consistently, consistently? Right? It's not working out harder. It's not trying to work out every single day of the week. It's like, do you know what you're doing? Do you have a program? Are you following that program? And are you handling that on a consistent basis? Are you telling yourself that, I'm gonna skip this exercise today. I don't feel like I don't have the time. Are you not prioritizing getting to the gym so you have enough time? Are you telling yourself all these things? Like those are the things I want you to really think about. And what makes this uncomfortable for a lot of men is that the mirror doesn't allow the stories. Telling me or telling someone else or saying stuff. And I'll be honest with you, you guys think about it. Like you might think you're not making an excuse. You're like, oh, I have work. I'm busy. I have my kids. I have, my kids have sports and whatever. Well, the mirror doesn't care about that. Like you can say all that or you want to, but you're going to still look at the same thing. It's going to face you. Now, if you're willing to look at it or not. If you're going to just, bypass it and walk past the mirror and you're not going to pay attention to it, then what does it matter? But you're avoiding it for some reason, right? And I will tell you that, this is the thing. It just, the mirror does not care if you're busy. The mirror doesn't care what phase you're in. You just started, or you've been working, or maybe you're going through a tough time right now. It doesn't care. It doesn't care what happened last week. It's just a reflection of what you've been practicing. And if you really think about that, that's the thing that I always want to continue to remind you. I talk about redemption, and redemption is about getting through these things. The redemption is about being the better version of yourself. I speak mostly to men, and I'm telling you, I listen to guys, and it's so hard for guys to even take constructive feedback. It's hard. I don't know if it's if it's just an insecurity. You don't want to hear it from someone else. You got this dominant mindset and you know everything. But think about that, right? And I will tell you, there's a big part of this mirror conversation I'm going to get into where I personally feel it. And I got to tell you, my prayer for most men, or all men, is that you don't get into a place where, you know, um, it's hard for you to take the constructive feedback from someone who has the ability, education, has the repeatable results, and showing up every day. Like that's a big deal. And if you're someone who continues to reflect and keep chasing something because of the look in the mirror, it's because you lack clarity. And I want to talk about that. So, what I wanted to, what I want to transition to right now is why we avoid the mirror. And I think it's interesting when we start talking about why we avoid the mirror, because most men don't avoid fitness because they hate training. They avoid it because the mirror brings it up, what the mirror brings up. And it could be the fact that you're walking around and your stomach just looks bigger and bigger, that you don't have the chest you want or arms or shoulders you want, right? That's the kind of stuff, like, if you look in the mirror and your stomach looks really good, looks tight, you're probably gonna be pretty happy. Now, you might want to get bigger biceps, more definition, define abs, all that other stuff. But once you start seeing the progress you make, or even the fact that you've been able to get to a place where you've never been able to reach before in a mirror, great. But when you don't, or you see yourself going the other way, are you avoiding the mirror? Are you even looking in, are you even giving yourself, or are you looking in the mirror, telling yourself a story in your head and beating yourself up? Because the thing is that when you stand in front of a mirror long enough, you start seeing the things you can't unsee, where you've been inconsistent, where you've been negotiating, and where you've been saying soon instead of now. And come on, guys, like, first of all, if this is something that's resonating with you, like, give me a W in the chat or something, because I think the biggest thing about this is that the reason why I'm using this and talking about avoiding the mirror is because the reality with most men is that the truth is the truth, bro. Like, like what you're doing, and again, it's not trying to find the quickest way, the some crazy way. I had a one of my good brothers from the gym, one of my boys from the gym asked me today. I think he's in his late 20s, and he's asking whether or not he should start taking TRT. And I'm like, and the reason for him taking it is, he says him and his boys are constantly, they're it's a good competition, but they're always trying to lift each other up. They're always, with their businesses and whatever they do. And one of his friends started taking it, and he's like, should I start taking it? He's like, I don't, almost like he doesn't want to be left out. And to me, it's a reflection of something, right? And it's not about doing the TRT. It's not about, um, making those, like, taking those drastic measures. That's not what it's about. It's the fact that he thinks he needs to take it because someone else is taking it, and he's worried about that person outperforming him. And I'm like, what are we doing? Do you see yourself? Do you even understand, to be in your late 20s with opportunity you have right now? And so anyway, I talked to him about that, and I think he walked away with a better understanding. But I'm like, you don't need to do that. He even kind of was like, he asked me because he trusted me in my response. But I was like, look, bro, like, I'm 20 years older than you. Like, there's no need for you to take testosterone, TRT, whatever that is, at this age. Even the fact that, like, go get your blood tested, go figure it out. Don't just do it just because you think it's do it. That's not healthy. But what I told him was like, do you have these other things in order? Do you think, if you don't have your food in order, and you know your alcohol, the same time, I believe he, just quit smoking marijuana, like, that kind of stuff is not helping you. So again, it's not that one thing. And that's what I try to tell you. Like, when you look in the mirror, if it's insecurities or these things start popping up, this is why we run into these issues. And again, we start having avoidance because the work we're doing or not doing isn't showing up the way you want to, and it's creating avoidance. And really, what I want to say, to go back to this, is once you see that clearly, and like understanding, like, have you been consistent, have you been negotiating with yourself, and have you been saying soon and not instead of now. Once you see that clearly, you start to make your choice, to make a choice, and that choice is important. Change, or keep looking the same way, or looking away, excuse me. Change, or keep looking away. Change, or keep looking away. I said this in my last podcast, maybe it was two podcasts ago, where I talked about, 2017. The most important thing happened is where, I had, actually, prior to 2017, For years I would eat food and my stomach would get bloated. I'd take supplements and my stomach would be like bubbling all the time. And I was trying to figure out if I was like allergic to dairy, if I had some other allergy, if it was gluten, whatever. I did all these things. I saw, gastrologists. I even had a point where my heart was hurt, like I was getting like these chest pains and stuff like that, and come to find out it was more from like gastro pain from my nutrition, my digestive system. And so that's the thing that got me to go, I need to stop trying to like not do these things and focus, because I really didn't have a plan, and I was kind of just going by what I hear and thinking like, oh, I'm going to eat clean. And what made me get into educating myself and learning is because no one was helping me. And I like, even right now when I'm doing these podcasts, I'm doing this on purpose because like I think that this content and what I share helps. And if I had this on the way of me figuring out the plan for myself, and as I've grown as a man over these years and becoming the man that I am, this would be extremely helpful. I've listened to a lot of motivational speakers. I've listened to all these successful entrepreneurs and everything else, and there's things that help me. But the reality is like, what are the real challenges? I'm talking about fitness right now. A lot of you may own your own business or run or lead a business or operate, at a high level. And the reality is like it's all the same. The big thing for me is that, if you aren't looking at the things the way that I'm doing this, is that if you're not looking at the things the way that I'm sharing them today, the reason why I'm putting this in front of you is because I want to provoke you to do the change. Because when you change, that's gonna be a whole, like for me, the light bulb went on and the game changed forever. Like I can't look back. It's 2026. Almost at the 10-year mark when I was like, this is over with. I was always in the gym, guys. Like I always wanted to eat healthy. I never had these like crazy things, but it just didn't show up. I'm like, why do I work out so hard, but I don't have, the six pack, or I don't have the muscle tone, right? And the mirror reflection, or the other fellas that were around me, I don't know what they were doing. They could have been doing, enhancement drugs. I don't care. The bottom line was I was putting in the work, and I know that I was doing it. That's not something that was hard for me. I didn't lack the desire to be in the gym or do better. I just said no. But then I also didn't take the initiative to go figure out and learn the thing that I needed to learn. And that's what I'm trying to get to you guys. It's like I realized I avoided stuff. And and to this day, like there's things that, even showing up to you guys in this podcast, yeah, I want to do great. I want to make this such a impactful, meaningful, helpful, provoking channel that's going to help you change and be the best version of you. Not even the best version, the most disciplined version of you. That's what I really want. And because that's where redemption sits at, right? But again, when we start talking about the mirror, it's about awareness. That's what this is about. That's what I want to really dive in here. So, when we talk about fitness in my next section, we talk about fitness as a safe place to tell the truth. I'll tell you this, like there's not a place more powerful than the gym. And here's the part I don't hear talked about enough. And this is the point. The gym is one of the few places in life where the truth is safe. It really is. No one's asking you how to explain yourself. No one needs your backstory, and no one is impressed by your intentions. You show up or you don't. You put in the work or you don't. And over time, the mirror reflects that back to you. That's not punishment, that's feedback. And here's the thing, that feedback is a gift if you're willing to listen. And so what I'm getting at here in this part is that, if you say, I want to get stronger, if you go to the gym and you work on getting stronger, bench press, squat, uh, you know, pull-ups, whatever that is, you go in the gym and you do the work and you're consistently pushing yourself, guess what happens? You start getting stronger. When you go to do it at first, you might be like, man, like this is tough. I can't lift as much. Well, guess what it's telling you? This is where you're at. It's the truth. It's the one thing that tells you you either can lift this or you can't lift this. You either can do this or you can't do that. It's just there. And then what happens is a lot of you are going to the gym just to work out And I think movement is great. Don't get me wrong. If you are not a person who's active right now and you're going to the gym being active, like congratulations to you. Kudos to you. Think that's great. The next level is you're in the gym and a lot of guys are going to the gym and it's like, "Oh yeah, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing push pull, I'm doing upper body, lower body." And there's no like when they say that to me, I go, "Okay, great." So you're in the gym working out and so you tell yourself and you tell your boys, "Yeah, man, I'm at the gym 5, 6 days a week." You're counting your boy, "Hey man, iron sharpens iron, man. You got to be at the gym, bro. We're at the gym." But what are you doing? What are you working towards? Don't get me wrong, like what I just said in terms of, push pull days, it's not bad, but it's just like, what are you working towards? Like, what you're doing clear? And so the truth is that you keep avoiding, or by you doing that is the reason why it looks the way it is. There's power in programming. There's like a lot to say about the fact that if you're going in the gym and you're making progressive, you have a progressive program that is helping you get to your goal. That's a dynamite. That's amazing. But if you're just going to the gym, and you're just working out, that's the big thing. And that's what I want to say to you. It's like what's actually showing up is you. You show up. Okay, great. That you got that. Now there's a different version. It's not going to be the same thing. Like guys, I guess what I'm trying to say is like you put the work in, but is the work you're putting in efficient? Is the work you're putting in what's necessary to get the change you're looking for? Do you even know what you really want? Do you keep saying, "Oh, I just want to lose weight"? Are you actually telling yourself I did this. Are you telling yourself you need to lose weight because you see extra body fat, or do you understand the fact that like you might say that because you see that this body fat, and the thing is that it's not about losing weight. You don't need to be skinnier because skinnier, being in a deficit is going to make you, you're not going to have as much energy as you need. What you need to do is build more muscle. What you need to do is take that back. What you need to do is build more discipline. And a discipline means showing up into the gym and doing the work and following a program. And the discipline means that you're working to build a healthy nutritional plan for yourself, not a diet, some way that you can sustain and continue working on and growing. It's about learning, improving, and getting better. It's exactly what I did. It's about, I had to learn how to work. I had to learn how to eat better. I had to learn how to create better habits. I had to learn how to do all these things. By doing those things, not all at once, but trying to figure those things out, everything by educating myself, doing those things over and over and over again created discipline. It wasn't that I did it once, it wasn't that I did it twice, is that I kept doing it until I continue to do it because it became who I am. That's the part I'm trying to say to you. Like, that's the work that's showing up. That's why the mirror looks the way it does. That's why when you think about it, it could feel like punishment, but it's feedback. If you don't go to the gym, if you don't do the things you're working on, where do you get the feedback? If you have a coach like me and you don't do the work, but you're trying to do better, you're not following the program the way that you're supposed to follow the program, how are you getting feedback? How are you getting better? Like if you avoid the work or you avoid the honesty about it, that's where change is waiting for you. It just is. And so when you do that and you now are becoming the type of person who is showing up, putting in the work, creating discipline, building discipline, doing that so you own it. It's yours now. It's who you are. It's what you see yourself as, and it's hard as hell not to do it. Like you can't go without it. That's the kind of thing I'm trying to get at. And so what's interesting is that as you go through that process, you become the mirror. And here's something that happens when you start showing up consistently. You become the mirror to other people. And sometimes that makes them uncomfortable. I want to say this. Let me say this. And it's not because you said anything, and it's not because you judged them. It's because your discipline quietly reflects something they don't want to face yet. Your consistency highlights their inconsistency. Your structure highlights their chaos. And your highlights and your calm highlights their avoidance. And this is important to understand. When people react to your growth, they're usually reacting to their own reflection. That's not a burden. That's not your burden to carry. And this is where I wanted to get at. You know, next month, actually about a month from now, I think today's the middle of January. My birthday's on February 16th. I'll turn 47. And what I will tell you is I see it a lot. I've seen this ever since I was in the corporate world showing up. I'll give you a different example. I've had some very great opportunities in my career. And at some point, I was, a young guy before my late 20s, going into my 30s. I made some really good money. And at that time, I used to show up and have, custom shirts and suits and, expensive shoes and all that kind of stuff. It was a thing as being in Chicago, living downtown. And shout out to my second home, Chicago. But what happened is that was the thing. I then, 2008 happens, 2009, I moved to back to California, and I'm kind of carrying the same thing, but I'm in a different environment, different industry, but I'm still showing up in the nice clothes. And it's not to be flashy because it wasn't really flashy, it just fit me well. And I just wanted to present myself well. I've always wore the button ups, the vest with the handkerchief or the suit. And people would have something to say because maybe they're just in jeans and a polo or khakis and a polo. I wasn't dressed like that. And I did that because it felt good and it felt normal and it felt like this is how I wanted myself to show up. And it had nothing to do with anyone else. But I got a lot of like, oh, he thinks he's cocky. I'm like, have you talked to me? you what had to learn, and this was years ago. What I had to learn was that what people are doing is a reflection of their own insecurity. And then, like, switch it back up. I then go from, people would say back then to like, oh man, you're in good shape. And I knew I wasn't where I wanted to be. Now, a totally different situation. What I realize is that some people would be like, man, I want to be like you, bro. Man, I'm like, I'm trying to get like you, Z. Oh, you are? And like, no, you don't. Because you have your own version. Like what I have genetically and what I've worked towards, that's for me. What they're really saying is, I just want to be disciplined like you. And I've had to like learn to filter that and understand that differently. Because even to this day, like, people will make comments, especially even when I'm with my friends. And again, let me say this to you as a caveat to the story. If you don't respect your standards, your goals, no one else is going to. So when I talk about my friends and they'll make jokes, they'll say, oh Z, you're not drinking today. Oh man, like I would love to. I love it when you used to drink. Why do I need to drink to make you feel better? Like I have a good time. Like I don't need it. The other thing is like, oh, if I decide to eat something like, I don't know, a burger. Are you eating a burger? Why can't I? Like, what are we talking about here? And again, the bigger things is like, even when someone starts to talk, and I know that they've been struggling um, with their fitness and their health, and I want to just offer guidance. I have to hold myself back a little bit, but when it comes to it, I feel the defense where I'm trying to talk to them like, hey, you don't mind if I offer you some suggestions or just give you some food for thought. I try to do it in the most polite way, but it's almost like they're holding back because they're looking at me being like, you've never been overweight. You never struggled. You don't know. And it's sad because, in my mind, like there's times I've not been in the best shape. Have I been obese, 50 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds of weight? No, I haven't. But I've also had some critical injuries. I've had triple hernia surgery that kept me from, I think it was uh, like like November to like March or April in like 2006 or seven, right? I've torn my ACL, had to do full reconstructive, ACL, MCL, and both meniscus. I've had a herniated disc in my neck where I was supposed to stop playing football, which is one of the main reasons I stopped playing. But that happened. And I had to go through therapy. It took me 6 weeks to even get a chance because they told me I wasn't going to play football anymore. I ruptured my patella tendon. I was put in a straight leg cast for 13 weeks. I had to rehab all of that. It took years. I still work through all that stuff, right? Recently, I've had to deal with the last few years. I've had to deal with a herniated L5, L4. And this is just from me being an athlete. But guess what? All those things for me were hard. For me were things that put me back so far that even when I think about the fact that maybe I've never been obese and had eating disorder, I've had to tell myself that I needed to do the work. I rehabbed every single injury I've had to get back to playing the sport, to be able to do the thing I wanted to do. I'm telling you that even when I didn't have football as a goal anymore and I got injured when I ruptured my patella tendon, If I wasn't going to go play in the NFL or anything else, like, why would I train? It's because it just wasn't the standard for me. And I knew I needed to do, and I was willing to do the work. So when people tell me, I'm going, for everybody, things are relevant. I do respect and empathize with people who struggle with those things, but don't let the reflection of me be something that you think that I may understand. I can understand. You can tell me what you're going through. You can explain to me. But the reality is you want me to accept the story you have instead of you changing. And that's where this mirror thing comes in. And this is a big part. Even as me being a coach, like, I'm doing this podcast this way because, again, I'm really, this is just who I am, and the things I believe, but I think it's important because I believe that I do my best to make sure that I speak in a way that empowers people, and that gives you the focus on what you can do and what you should be doing, and be encouraged by that, without putting these like scare tactics involved in this, because that's not what it's about. And I will tell you this: when you become the mirror, not only do you start to inspire other people, it's a beautiful thing because you start to show up and people can respect the things because they see what you've accomplished. So this is where I want to talk about learning how to hold the mirror. So maturity is learning how to hold the mirror without forcing anyone to look. And I think that's something I think is, again, another opportunity here. You don't need to convince, you don't need to explain, you don't need to defend. Just stay consistent. That's how easy it is. And that's where I believe, instead of saying anything or doing it, just do what you got to do. You don't you let your habits speak, you let your energy speak, and you let your presence speak. When you show up as that version of yourself, the more disciplined version of yourself, the one who's been grinding for that goal, man, it says a lot. Some people will lean in and some people will look away. And it's not because of you, it's because of you being the mirror now. You're holding the mirror and you are the mirror, and those reflections both respond and both tell a story. And I'm going to tell you this, like, this is something, because I'm in a space where I understand what am I doing for others. I believe that that's important, right? I've gotten to a place where I was able to accomplish goals in mind. I still have goals. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. And I will always. There will never be a time where I don't. But then what I do is I look back and I know that there are people who've been in similar situations that are struggling with some of the same things I had, that want to get where I'm at or get to where I've been able to accomplish, or struggling with that. Well, I want to help you. I want to guide you. I want to give you the clarity so that you can get to where you want to go. That's what worked for me. And so what happens is, the people that lean in, the people that come to me for guidance and support and coaching, oh, it's like, I can tell you right now, there have been so many people that said to me, like, last year, 2024 and 2025, I had some very blessed opportunities to work with some amazing people. And a lot of people came to me, and it's interesting because I didn't expect it, but that were dealing with high blood pressure. And I've received text messages, phone calls, and invites to tell me in person, thank you for saving my life. One of my first clients was on blood pressure medicine for 15 years. His kid had just born and he'd been taking it. And, um, you know, I again, oh man, I see you, Z. Oh man, I get back in the gym. All the reflections, right? And eventually he decided he wanted to work with me. He was fed up. He had a lot of things going on. Well, it didn't take long, but when we got within the first 8 weeks of him being on my program, he was at a point where he went back to his doctor saying, measuring his blood pressure, saying, I don't think I need to take this blood pressure medicine anymore. By the time we got, I think it was around 12 weeks to 14 weeks, the doctor was like, whatever you've been doing is great, whoever's helping you. Because honestly, like, I'm going to cut your medicine in half. And in the next couple weeks, if your blood pressure stays consistent, I want you to take it. It took him 15 years to get to a place where he was like, I need to change. It took him less than 16 weeks to get off the blood pressure medicine. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. And that's the responsibility, and the way that I feel people lean in, and the responsibility I hold as a coach is like, I know that I can help you. I know that I can guide you, because there's things that you're not doing, but if you're willing to listen and you're willing to follow and you're willing to be coached, you can do it too. So this is what I want to get to. What is the mirror asking you? So here's the real question. Not are you fit, not are you motivated. It's not asking that, but are you willing to see yourself clearly? Are you willing to sit with it? What's are you willing to sit with what's reflected without turning it into shame or excuses? That part, again, it's and you have to catch yourself because you'll say, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's because of this." It's like that thing is the reason why you keep staying there, and it's the reason why change really hasn't happened. You may not be doing it consciously, but subconsciously you're doing it, and you just got to catch it, right? Because the mirror isn't asking you for perfection; it's asking you for honesty, and honesty is where change starts. This is the part where you start to think about where you need change. We're in 2026. Everyone said, and some people got to a point where like, I'm not doing New Year's resolutions anymore. Okay, great. Some people have done vision boards, right? I'm going to put this together. I'm going to look this way. I'm going to get this house. I'm going to buy this car. I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to put them in a vision board. I'm going to visualize them. I'm going to visualize them. And I'm going to visualize them until they happen. I think the better thing you should do is build an action board. An action board. What are you going to take action on? What are you going to do? Right? Doing, like we talked about in the mirror, is if you do the work, if you refine the way you do it, if you get clarity on what you need to be working towards and you get some guidance, even if you learn yourself on your own, it's going to take you longer. You'll get there. But based on what you're doing, are you measuring it? Are you growing? Are you learning? Are you getting the right support? And in that, show up every day, create consistency, build discipline. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. And that's the place where honesty leads you to change and change starts to happen. It has nothing to do with trying to do a short-term diet because again, what happens after the diet? What pattern are you creating? That's one of the things I'll tell you. Build momentum, guys. Like build the momentum by building on consistency and doing things. Again, I said it before. I'm at like 160 something days of walking over 12,000 steps. I'm doing it and I can't stop doing it because in my mind I'm going, can I get to 200? At one point I was like, can I get to 100? Then I said 150. Now I'm going on to 200. But it's the consistency. It's the thing that I do and it benefits me so much, which one day I'll talk about in another podcast. But here's something that I really want to do, and I really want to slow down here for a second. I want to pause for a second. Not for you to judge yourself and not for you to beat yourself up. Just to notice. If fitness were a mirror, what would it say? What would it be showing up right now? What would be showing right now? If fitness was a mirror, what would it be showing you right now? Were you consistent? Were you avoiding? Were you negotiating with yourself? No fixing, no planning, no promising, just honesty. Because clarity comes before change. Like, I'm going to say it again, clarity comes before change. It is one of the primary things. If you talk to me and we have a conversation about fitness and I can't get you to clearly see the problem and see the path of where you need to go, I can't coach you. And the reason for it is because the lack of clarity. And by the way, take this to your work, take this to your relationship. The vagueness, the avoiding, the ambiguity of not having um structure and clarity are the reasons why most people will never reach their goals and continue to loop back every single year to the same exact thing. And here's the thing, most men skip this part. They rush straight to solution. They just do. But the men who actually change, they learn how to sit with the truth without running from it. So, fitness is the mirror, not because it defines you, but because it reveals you. Man, dropping dimes. It shows you how you show up when no one's watching. It teaches you how to stay present in discomfort. And if you can learn to stand in front of the mirror with humility and ownership, you'll start seeing everything else more clearly too. Not louder, not harder, just clearer. So the mirror doesn't judge you, it invites you to be honest. And so with this podcast today, I really appreciate you guys. And I'm going to say this, if you've gone this far and this content, this topic that I talked about today, I hope it resonated with you. Give me some love, give me some feedback. I'd love to hear from you. Please continue to subscribe and like the videos. It's helping definitely get my other videos seen as well. And I just say this, one of the standards that I have this year for myself is to continue to execute um, in with audacious faith. And I say that because, some of the things that I believe that God has for me in my life really requires me to look fear in its face, because like, we're going to live with it. Fear is always going to be, it's not going away. But if it's the fear of starting something and being worried about how the outcome is. I can tell you right now, you guys have shown me some love on my videos, and I'm so grateful for it. But it's interesting what I think and what actually is becoming. And so when I say the standard I live by is to continue to operate and execute with audacious faith, is because that is also to aligning me with how I start my day and what's most important to me, and that's aligning myself with God. And I know that one of the biggest things about my faith that I continue to grow is understanding that the best thing I can do is to continue to show my faith. It's so easy to avoid things. It's so easy to see something there, but just really not do it because maybe you don't want to fail at it. I realize that God gave us all these opportunities so that we go fail, because what we do in that process is He leads us to where we really need to be. We learn from it, we grow from it, we develop from it, and we get smarter, better, wiser, all those things. So if you're got something going on, especially if it's around your fitness life, your business, something you're doing in terms of improving your life in any other capacity, my encouragement is that you also do the same. And so, today's podcast, the last thing I want to say is that, when I thought about this topic, the thing that I really thought about was, when I walk around and I show up to places, I realize that some of the energy that I get is a reflection, and I am the mirror, and I take full responsibility for that. So how I show up to you guys on my podcast is me being the most authentic version of myself. Like, again, I don't cut this thing up. I just record it, I finish it, and I post it. And I think that God is going to lead me to a place. He's leading you, great people like you, to my podcast. And so I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support, and for rocking with me like it is. And I will say this, to close out, is that when I talk about redemption is like this mirror, right? There's a time when the mirror is a reflection, and there's a time when you become the reflection. I would love to see you become the reflection in your life and the people around you, because the biggest impact that you can make is to inspire others based on the things that you've accomplished, who you show up as, and you hitting your goals. So with that being said, continue to work hard, continue to put God first, and continue being the man that God is intending to be. That's called redemption. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Let's go.